Had my back against the wall and they threw me off the checklist. Spit raps up in the hall and they threw me off the set list. Rappers running races on your marks, ready, set, trip. You know that I'm met with so much animosity. Got your eye open, they be looking like it's Monsters Inc. Raising all these rappers where they hit me up like foster me. This ain't a home for imaginary friends. I run the play like Calipari, losing track of all these wins.
I'm Grace from Disgraced Weekly. I'm here with MoeSOS DC. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for driving all the way out from Wilmington.
Yeah. It wasn't too bad. Just a straight trip up 40, but for something like this.
Did you see any accidents or anything crazy happening?
Nothing out of the usual. I mean, you're not from North Carolina either, so the drivers out here, it's just not, no offense to North Carolina drivers, but y'all
They're
are trash.
defensive.
Yeah.
Like, they're very defensive, and it's like if it starts raining, they all put their hazards on.
Gosh.
And it's just... Yeah.
I think it's the range too. Like some people, it's like you just don't have an identity of the drivers in North Carolina. They all drive so differently in each city too. So it's just, it's terrible.
You don't know what to expect.
Exactly.
Yeah, like being from Florida, I'm used to it pouring down rain and going the speed limit on, the interstate.
Yeah.
Here, everybody stops and completely slows down.
Right.
They're flashing their lights, so I can't even see the cars.
It's terrible. Florida though, I know you got stories. Not that we're gonna get into it, but I remember just thinking about Florida for my job like years ago. We had this assignment where you had to find a article in the news of a Florida man doing something on your birthday. And everyone has like a different Florida man story. Like, Florida man does
definitely.
this on this day of the year. So if you're listening out there, you don't know your Florida man story, go please find Florida man, your birthday, figure out what your birthday's famous for in Florida. So
I gotta look mine up. I'm sure there's definitely something.
It's a list.
Do you remember back in the day when the bath salt story came out about somebody eating somebody's face off in Florida?
Yes.
Oh, it was crazy. That was before we knew like what bath salts really were. I was like, what do you mean bath salts? Like
Florida.
stuff for the bath? I still don't know what they are.
Innovative, Florida, innovative, one of a kind state. Seriously.
Yeah, I remember in college in Tallahassee, there was always just crazy stuff happening. Like we had a shooting. We had I remember one time there was a World War II bomb or bunker or something found underneath the ground. They had a detonator or something. Yeah. Another time, this is the craziest story. So the Walgreens down the street from me, T-Pain's niece, I think, she got shot and killed.
Oh,
and
wow.
He's from Tallahassee.
Yeah.
And it was probably the boyfriend, and he went missing, right? 6 months later, he's found in a bush down the street at this apartment complex that my friends used to live out, dead.
Streets ain't forgiving, yo. Especially, I'm gonna let the streets do what the streets do. I ain't gonna speak on that.
That's just, it was just crazy, a crazy story, being related to T-Pain, too.
I know. Tallahassee, man. Oof.
Yeah, there is always just stuff going on over there. Mm-hmm. So it was your birthday last week?
Past week.
And we were just talking, you're 27, right?
27.
Okay,
yes.
I'm 27 too, so I love to hear that.
The 90s babies, mid-90s and everything, we still pushing it in this music scene. I think everybody ready for the 2000s babies to try to take over, but we still got something to say.
It's crazy to think about, 18-year-olds now.
Yeah.
What year were they born?
Yeah, 18 years. It was 2005.
2005.
Wicked.
That's crazy.
Wicked.
They're so old now.
I know. Yeah, it's honestly, dag. Now that you just said that, I'm thinking of some of the 18-year-olds I know, and thinking what I was doing in life. I went up to nothing wild, but that's that's 5th grade. I'm 9 years old at that time or so. Yeah, they haven't lived through a lot of stuff too.
It's weird to think about because when you turn 18, you're like, oh, I'm all grown up. I'm off gonna do life and stuff. Yeah. And I feel like when you turn 21 or 22, 21, you're like, I'm an adult now.
Yeah.
But I've grown so much since then.
Yeah, even still. I feel like it's every 3 to 5 years. 3 to 5 years, you kind of become the next version, evolve as a person or so. And be patient with yourselves. You think you got it at 18, 21, everything, just let time do what time gonna do.
Yeah, because you're gonna be a completely different person unless
Yeah.
you're like that kind of person that's just gonna be stuck in your ways for your whole life and you won't grow.
You know,
But you should be a completely different person, you know,
gotta
within the time.
self-reflect. Got to.
So, is there anything you did to celebrate your birthday?
It was real. It was low key this year. I've been so much more having an emphasis on family in my life recently, especially post COVID. I think because I'm from DC originally, being down here during COVID was tough. You know, not really being able to get back up to see my family a lot. So you know, once things kind of nullified out some, and I've been able to spend more time with family. I just had one of my great aunt just turned like 100. So we had we do a family reunion every year. So we were able to do our family reunion. My dad's from North Carolina. That's kind of what rooted me back down here. So most of my dad's side of the family are still down here in the Mount Olive, Goldsboro area. So able to do our family reunion, just spent time with them, seeing cousins I haven't seen in years, chilling with my folks. And outside of that, yeah, I mean, just, staying low key, hanging with the people close to me, making sure, I love up on them and we get time to cherish some memories. So nothing too big.
Do you have a big family?
Yes. Yeah. Very. Every year, it's one of those families where you still find new cousins. Like, we're the same age, and it's like, where were you these past 27 years? Like, how did we didn't just become cousins? Like, where have you been? So yeah, definitely a real big family.
I wish I had something like that. I'm an only child, and I have a few cousins, but it's not like I talk to them that much.
I'm I'm the baby in my immediate family. I'm one of 5 brothers. So I got 4 older brothers, and I think I'm on the younger end of my family's generation too. So I have people that I called my aunt growing up that I fully believed they were my aunt or my actual cousins. It wasn't until I understood the family tree better, and I was like, wait a minute, you saying Auntie so and so is really my cousin? And I've been calling them Auntie this whole time. It's just because they were so much older. It was like a respect thing. Like, I wasn't about to be 6 years old calling my 28-year-old cousin cousin so and so.
Yeah.
So see, that's a big family though.
Yeah, it's confusing too. I have second cousins.
Yeah,
I don't
stuff.
understand that. I think that would be my parents' cousin.
Yeah, and then you get the twice removed stuff, and it's just
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, it's, and then the family tree turned into a word problem on the SAT, and I'm like, all right, it's a lot. It's too much for me.
So what is something that you've learned in the past year?
Ooh, past year, something I've learned. I think just contentment, contentment, acceptance. I think my early 20s, at the time where social media was, really but almost at the peak of flourish. I think people now, maybe I'm just getting to that age or generation, are taking somewhat steps back from social media. They're trying to limit how much time they spend. They're, trying to get back connected with the world. I think, my early 20s were so much filled with trying to compete with people that I saw online, friends that I saw doing X, Y, and Z, and it left me without having genuine, authentic happiness in a lot of areas where I had so many things to be happy about in life, but everything was so comparative. So I think, something I've been growing, it's been a journey. It's not like within the past year I just had this epiphany of oh, I should be more forgiving of myself. I should, show more grace. But I think it's something I've grown a lot in the past year, just being very, very content with where I am in life and my journey, very happy with all that I'm able to do, whether musically, personally, professionally. That's definitely probably the biggest thing for me.
So since it was just your birthday, what is your zodiac sign?
Leo gang, Leo stand up.
Do you know anything about it?
No. The closest thing I know to about zodiac signs, I walk around the club and I'll just whisper co-star till some girl overhears it. And she's like, "Did you say co-star?" And I'm like, "Oh no, but it must be a sign, right?" This is, yeah, it's a terrible pickup line, but
I'm weak. I have co-star.
Yeah,
I don't use it that much, but I have it.
I'll just be like, "Yeah, co-star." Yeah, I'm a Leo. My grand rising, sun setting. Yeah,
It's rising.
No.
Wait, it's rising something.
I will
something.
say, because my friends will probably watch this. I did download CoStar one time just because everybody was talking about it, and I was with a group of people. We were at breakfast waiting to be seated, so everybody was reading theirs. I started reading mine. I got like halfway through, and then it started getting oddly scary. How like all my friends are like, yikes, this is pretty accurate. Like this is pretty much hitting the nail on the head. So I don't know astrology. I'm open-minded. Definitely not gonna say it doesn't have any merit. Definitely is higher power out there that's running a lot of things. So if that's how they want to operate it, your time of the year you were born, indicate certain characteristics, then hey, shout out to them.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe in that kind of stuff, but definitely I'm a Aquarius, and I definitely a lot of things, when you read about Aquariuses, it lines up. I've met, multiple Aquariuses, and we're kind of the same in a way.
This brings me to one of my favorite hip hop albums, Aquemini, obviously, Outkast, Andre 3000, Big Boy. I'm trying to remember which was Big Boy the Aquarius or was he the Gemini? And was Andre see, I shouldn't even be admitting I don't know stuff like this on these podcasts. People gonna come back, clip this, something gonna happen in 5 years. They're gonna be like, oh, Mo don't even know that Andre 3000 was the Aquarius and Aquemini. He a fake fan. The real old hip hop head's gonna cook me for this. So it's I just don't remember which one they were.
It was funny. Recently, I actually realized, because I don't even know many of my friends' signs, but I really get along with Geminis.
Yeah?
Yeah.
See?
It's the Aquarius Gemini pair.
It is. That's something about it. I mean, Andre and Big Boy, arguably the greatest hip hop duo. Andre's a Gemini. Yeah. Probably greatest hip hop duo in in the history of hip hop, and debate arguably. I ain't gonna put definitives on that, but they have a very strong case, for that, and their chemistry is it's almost as undefeated.
So I saw you have a whole story highlight for Waffle House.
Oh, yes, I do. And I'm glad you brought this up, man, because I wish I was still in college when they were doing NIL deals. All my friends tell me, bro, so I ran track in college, former retired D1 athlete, could barely get out of bed without my knees hurting these days, but it's okay. But yeah, I think it started when I was a kid. I used to come down, like I said, family reunions down south. Waffle House was like one of those places. We don't have Waffle House in DC. Like that's DC, like I love it to death. The South got the food options because boy, for the price point too, gosh, inflation crazy. But nonetheless, an all-star special, come on now. That amount of food for that price, and it's good. But I just know the people. It became not like a running joke, but I've been going to the same Waffle House in Wilmington for so long. I know all the workers. We're in group chats together. I literally walked in. I had Waffle House the morning of my birthday, and I walk in and they have a cake for me that said "Happy Birthday."
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, it's just you can't beat that type of like that's just family at that point. They're my parents are there. They're like, "Hey, mom and dad," and stuff. It's just So yeah. I haven't updated that story in a minute. I still go. I don't go as much as I used to, but I probably still go once or twice a week.
Yeah,
So.
I do love Waffle House. I am a big fan. I went yesterday.
Oh, amazing. You hit your quota already. So.
Yeah, I usually get one of the breakfasts. It's like the 2 eggs with the hash brown bowl. It's not the bowl.
Okay,
it's 2 eggs, toast, and hash browns covered.
Yeah.
That usually hits well.
I get them hash browns crispy. I need them things like almost chips. I do not want to deter. I could sit here and talk about my affinity for Waffle House for the entire podcast, but I'm gonna just leave it there because
it is it's just so good. It's a great price. It's always if you go in there, I don't know. It's just an interesting time too.
Oh, it is. It is. Yeah, I have stories. So I seen somebody get maced up in the Waffle House while still just people just eating their food, just still going. You see all the joints online. It's I think they've accepted it as part of their branding though. The diversity though is probably the one thing I love about it is it's a place where everybody comes in and gets treated the same. It don't matter who you are, how much money you have or don't have, or what you look like. Like, honestly, that's probably one of the most neutral places in America when differences all get set aside over a meal. So,
Waffle House.
yeah, shout out to people.
Yeah, I remember one of my first memories of going into Waffle House. It was with my mom and my friend. And like it's open 24 hours. We're there during the day, but like they're sweeping, right? They have to sweep. Mm-hmm. But they start sweeping under our table, like under our booth, and they're sweeping my friend's feet up.
Imagine, like, you're wearing, like, sandals, and you just have, like, the broom, like, taking, like, crusty, like, old hash browns across your toes. Oh, God. Yeah, that's a different speed. They are open 24 hours. If you didn't know, here on the East Coast, they actually track the severity of hurricanes based on how many Waffle Houses in an area have to close down partially. They do like a hurricane indicator on how bad the hurricane was if Waffle House has to close down and how many locations close.
I completely believe that,
it's no cap. Look it up. No cap in this rap. I promise you. Look it up.
So you've been traveling around this year, I saw.
Yeah.
Where have you been?
This past year alone, so this is not going to be in chronological order. It's just, I guess, what comes to mind. I went out to Toronto, helped my homeboy Matt with his proposal. Shout out Matt and Ashley, the beautiful couple. I was out visiting one of my close friends, Ryan, in Arizona. We drove out from Phoenix to Joshua Tree. We were out in California working on music out there. That was a beautiful time. Work makes me travel a lot as well. I've been down to Orlando, Jacksonville. I go back home to DC a good bit. So I enjoy my time out there. I'm trying to think, Nashville. I will say, I see why that's like the bachelorette capital. Nashville is insane. I did not expect to have that much fun out there. I think I went with, it wasn't in the peak though. It was like late fall. So perfect temperature, but not like everybody and their mama out there. So it was like good enough where you could just get in every place real smoothly. No covers.
How much,
music.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how country was it?
For a city boy like me, 12. It was very, every bar, they have bars named after, the prominent country singers that have come through Nashville.
Yeah, it's a big history place for
right.
there.
Like, it's got a lot of identity within, the country music scene. So I saw Pitbull while I was out there. Crazy. That Mr. Worldwide. That Pitbull concert, I've been to a lot of concerts. I can't lie. The Pitbull concert though had a age demographic and a diversity demographic like nothing I've ever seen. And you don't even know how many hits Pitbull has until you're at a Pitbull concert going through these and singing them word for word and like, yo, this man brainwashed me? Like, why do I know your whole hour set right now? Like, this is Iggy Azalea opened up. That was interesting. Me and the people I was with found our way to like the front row seats. I don't think I need to see Iggy Azalea that up close and personal, but man, I'll tell you, it's an experience. I will never forget it. Never.
So if you could live anywhere, where would you live?
Ooh. For like temporarily, or like if I move there, I have to stay there?
I'd say like buy a house and that would be your main area,
okay,
but
down.
You could go around.
So if I had to settle down somewhere, but I could still move. It's hard to imagine like settling down a place I haven't visited. Like, I know places I'd love to visit for extended periods, but settle down. I'd have to. New York City's on the list. I love every time I've been out to New York City. It is so much fun. I got a good community up there. It's centralized. You can get from so many different places, being in New York, whether internationally or domestically, train, plane. So New York's up there. I think I'd want to I could see myself doing time here in Raleigh. I think that could be a good place to see myself. DC is like obviously there, but that feels like a cop-out answer. I've already lived there for so long. So New York, Raleigh. I couldn't do LA. I couldn't. I have a love for LA, but a hate as well for the traffic, a disdain for how, not poorly, like it's engineered well, but the travel. I'm just used to being able to get on a bike and moving around the city freely. LA is so much bigger than people think. The north part of LA and the south part, if you're trying to go from Long Beach up to, the northern end, like, my geography's terrible, but like the Malibu area and like out to like, it's an hour and a half drive. It's just, and there's no way around it. there's just nothing. So I can't fade that.
Yeah, I still haven't been out to LA, but I used to think growing up I'd be an LA person, but I realized I love New York and I love being able to, the public transportation is amazing. And I don't think you can't do that in LA, and I don't like driving. So
me and speaking of New York, me and my homeboy Lord Sco, New York City rapper, shout out bro, has some amazing music out there. So we were just chopping it up though. We were trying to think through. This is definitely one of those things where like, if you remember like years back, people would have those memes. It was like, yo, hits the blunt, ask like one of those like high questions or so. It was definitely one of those like moments where it's like, yo, like we're just thinking of dumb stuff. But we were thinking through like, I wonder who has hopped the gates for the subway the most. Like who has like the record for like most gate hops like in New York City or so. And like if they even know or so, or like, the best streak of not getting caught or, whatever it is. And yeah, we were talking about trying to do like a little sub-Olympic game, DC like metro system gate hoppers versus like New York City metro gate hoppers, and seeing who could like which city would come out on top. So
that'd be cool to track.
Yeah. So
MoeSOS DC, how did you come up with that name?
Yeah, I think so. The name itself, like, it definitely has ties, to the biblical character, or not even character, person, of Moses, the story of Exodus, Moses, the sea, MoeSOS DC. So it has kind of like a tie on words of that. And I knew when I started this music journey, I didn't have as strong of a relationship, like spiritually, as I do now. But I knew when I began engaging in music, I knew I wanted to center myself within things like that had some meaning or substance to, the spiritual relationship, the nature of, my relationship with God or so. Because music to me is like very self-reflective, it's introspective, it's like open journaling. It helps me process through things that I'm going through, whether positive thoughts, negative thoughts, seasons where, I feel very close to God, seasons where I feel like, I can't find God. And I think that's just, the story of God's people in the Bible, of all people, of humans. We're looking for that relationship. We're looking for that connection. So yeah, my name, people call me Mo. Like that's been my name since I was playing Little League football. So I just tied it in with that. And, yeah, I wanted to run with it from there, and it just stuck. And, I got like too deep. It was like, I think every artist gets to that stage where like, should I change my name? And they got to make that critical decision. And I was like, yeah, nah, at this point, I'm like way too branded, way too deep. It's fine. I like it. It's different. It's me. It's my identity.
So you grew up in DC?
Yep. Grew up in DC proper, right around the Shaw Howard area, Leroy Park. Shout out to homies there. And all the people, from kind of around there, W Street, everybody, Mitch, Quet, the boys, yeah, homies.
What was your experience growing up there?
I feel like for people that don't move around a lot, I didn't move until I came down to North Carolina for college. So everything's normal because you don't know anything other than what you're exposed to. So my experience while growing up there felt very normal. It was definitely a lot of stuff going on. Early 2000s, crime rate in DC has always been something that's tough. It's, going through a really hard period right now. I'm, praying with all the people that's back there, families affected by a lot of the acts of violence that's going on. But yeah, you see a lot of things. I think there's certain stuff too. People will remind me that we went through. I think I didn't understand how much stuff I like suppressed, mentally, emotionally or so. Because it was just like, I ain't saying it was, the toughest, like every day I was having to, get out the gutter and like survive. But, it was definitely some very tough seasons, tough periods of time of life, mentally that I've had to, through times I've spent in therapy, I had to debunk, really unlayer and understand better. So it was nice. I loved the freedom of it as a kid, unmatched. That's why I love a city. I can't imagine raising kids in a non-city environment and having to like physically take them places. That's what I see people doing down here in North Carolina, and it's so confusing. Like, I remember being 9 years old, just like hopping on a bus, going to my grandma's house, you know, being 11 years old. I was a big skater kid growing up. So like we were like skating all through the city. You know, we leave at 10 a.m. in the morning. We don't get back till 7, you know, 7 at night or something. Or just having that freedom though, you know, was so, I think it helped me in so many ways of just kind of life, having to have those daily decision-making things and figure things out, problem solve, you know, this is not before the internet, but before you had mobile, you know, capabilities of accessing information as we do now. So it was like you had to memorize your bus schedule. You had to memorize the train schedule, understand when the last train or last bus comes. You don't want to get stranded out somewhere. If you do, how are you going to get back? Problem solving, you know, just so much stuff. So
That's so cool to think about, you know, how other people grow up too. Because I grew up in the suburbs in the middle of Florida, and you know, had my parents driving me everywhere. I remember I wanted in 5th grade to walk to school so bad by myself, and I think they still kind of like stood, you know, far back behind me watching. You know, it was like down the street from my house. Yeah. So it's weird how, you know,
I ain't gonna say I can count on like 1 or 2 hands. My dad did hold me down, driving me to school a couple times, but like we lived close enough. Like we walked to school every day from kindergarten. You know, I got 4 older brothers. From, you know, kindergarten, my older brothers and me, we'd walk to school, you know, walk back in the afternoons. My parents was working sometimes like 2 jobs. So yeah, that's just like, but that was normalized. Like I remember we don't have like yellow buses in DC, like drop people off to school.
Oh yeah. It's like the regular.
Yeah, it's just the regular, like, so you get on a regular train with people going to work, or you get on a regular transport bus system, or you just walk. And yeah, like that's all I could imagine, you know, growing up and living life. And those walks to school and walk home from school though were so fun. Like, I remember my parents used to get lunch money in the morning. This is before you had, like, lunch cards. I don't know. Like, I think kids now get, like, IDs, and their parents preload the card on the ID or something. But this is back when you just used to get your lunch money. You know, and we'd get the lunch money and walk to the corner store in the morning before we go to school and get, like, a pack of Fruities. I was talking to my homeboy Dre about this the other day. Fruities, like, this little, I can't even describe it. It's, like, a mix of, like, a Starburst, like, Tootsie Roll or something. It's, like, it was, like, a 2-cent candy, though. You can get, like, 100 Fruities, like a pack of 100. They come in like a, not even a Ziploc bag, honestly. Same type of bag, you know, people probably push some stuff in. They just literally wrap it up, give you 100 Fruities for like $1 or something. And that's what we spent our lunch money on some days, and parents never knew. So.
Yeah, I remember the last time I went to DC was in like October of last year.
Yeah.
And I was eating at this restaurant outside on the sidewalk. Yeah. And this homeless guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's walking around and he starts yelling something. He's like, something like, oh, I'll take like all your stuff, or like something crazy shit like that. And I'm sitting there like closest to like the sidewalk, and I'm like, okay, my purse is hanging here. Let me just.
Kind of.
Like, I'm not one to grab my purse, but you know.
Yeah, you ain't trying to be hot about it and like make it, you know.
And then as I do that, I see a hand. It goes to my plate. The food goes everywhere.
The homeless dude flipped it.
Yes.
What? No.
He flipped my plate and it goes diagonal, falls on the ground next to like these other people. Like I had pasta, the sauce got all over their feet. Gosh. And everybody was looking at me. Everybody was coming up like saying they saw it in slow motion happen. Yeah, it seems They're like, are you okay? And I'm like, it went by so fast for me.
Yeah, facts. Like a movie scene right there. I'm sorry, yo. The homelessness in DC definitely, you know, around the country, you know, but obviously the major cities, it's tough. You know, my heart is with people that, you know, they're the people now, they're finding like, you know, new terms, which I'm trying to stay open-minded to, you know, and saying like unhoused or so. Like that's the new term,
or like people without a home.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I try to do that
and
too.
I think I understand it from the aspect of, I think after a certain while, like the term homeless can like have like second class, you know, like very definitely low. And, you know, to me though, I feel like we're going to start using this term unhoused. It's going to be great, but you know, how many years until that is like a dehumanizing? We have to continue finding new, you know.
Yeah, so. And it's just it's such a hard like situation. Like it's just the amount of people that don't have homes, and it's like it's not, it's not their fault. And, there's also situations, like there's people, those situations from domestic situations.
Yep.
There's people that just lost their job because the economy sucks.
Yep.
Even drug addiction, that's, that's,
yeah. And,
that's not their fault either. That shit fucking, that it fucks people up.
And it's the way too that like, I think we're now having a much more, especially around, drug addiction, we're having a much more supportive approach, but the over criminalization, especially within big cities for people dealing with substance abuse, drug addiction, in the 80s, 90s, is still like those things are still in place now. Like the consequences of how we, how we criminalize that and didn't add the proper support channels to, really help address the root of the issue. So, for, anyone that's dealing, with, improper access to like housing, and housing is hard to get too. Like it wasn't until I really, kind of became somewhat of a functioning adult. They ask for a lot when you're getting like even just a basic apartment. Background, like you have to provide documentation. Like it's certain people, might not even have, access to the documentation needed to, prove that they can, I've had people that I've known, friends, family members that have gone through periods of like, not being able to have access to, to housing. Some people had to sleep on the streets, in between things and couldn't, they've couch surfed for so long. It's tough. It's tough situations. It's the weird mix of capitalism. You want everyone working hard, progressing society forward. People believe that if you just provide housing as a human right, then it negates the need for the capitalist structure or the, I guess, the philosophies of it. I don't want to get too deep into all that stuff, but it's tough.
It's hard, yeah. Like, I can't even imagine, like, especially if I, just didn't have any money tomorrow. Like, how do I... If I wasn't around any family, how would I, get on my feet?
Exactly.
I was watching one video of they were talking to people out in Las Vegas that didn't have a home, and a lot of them ended up they were there for a trip or something, and they just lost their ID and lost things, lost their money, lost their ID, just never were able to come back home, and they've just been stuck there.
Whew. Yeah. See, that's tough. That's real tough.
So on to more positive topic. So your music, how would you describe your sound?
Man, I love this question. I feel like I go into each project with the sound that I'm trying to encompass. I don't think my music is singularly composed or comprised of an individual sound or so, or I think sometimes I evolve with each project, or based on what I'm trying to get across with each project, it'll encompass a sound that I feel is best to push that forward. I think for what I perform the most, what I utilize the most things with, is definitely has rudiments or inspirations of jazz culture. I grew up loving the neo soul era of hip hop and R&B. So the Roots, Jill Scott, Erykah Badu, seeing how they were all moving around one another. Mos Def, Talib Kweli. So I think it definitely is. I'm not musically inclined. I have a lot of friends. Shout out the band. Shout out all the homies. Will, Jack. Everyone that's been a part of the group, that we work with along the way. They definitely helped me get to a much better place with the sound that I go for. But yeah, it's definitely more of a conscious, introspective. But I dabble in, rudiments of, the alternative hip hop, lo-fi, even some of the cloud rap stuff. The music I'm working on right now is so much different than all the stuff I've put out, kind of so far. I think the last song I released is probably more of a glimpse. I got to do a collaboration with the bro Kadoku that I met at one of the local shows, that the festival that was put on by the In the Fest crew. in the Carolinas. Shout out Noah, the rest of the team out there. They've always been doing great things for the community. Not only here in Raleigh, but traveling all throughout and repping for the whole state. So, but yeah, it's definitely. I think that song encompasses more of where the sound is progressing to for this moment of the story I'm trying to get across.
Yeah, I first started listening to Kudoku from In the Fest, actually.
Yeah, bro is
really
immense, enormous talent. I can see he can go all the way, however far he wants to take it. I'm wishing bro nothing but success because, he's got something special for sure.
So you perform live shows with a band?
Yes, yeah. Primarily, I do both. I think I spent years first doing live shows. That's what I love the most about music for me. That's where I feel like I get in my bag, so to speak, right? Is the live show aspect. And for years, I was kind of doing it like as a solo artist. It was tough though. Like I said, I'm from DC. Most of my music connections when I was early in my artistry were in DC as well. So I was kind of moving around Carolina, just independently, not having a lot of support. But Wilmington has such a great community for hip hop. I love the people that are there. Lewis Dot, Jay Sales, Social Contract Crew, Rebels No Savage. I think the whole community there, we're tight knit. We know each other. We support each other, and they helped inspire me though. It was seeing one of my homeboys. He got to open up for Lupe Fiasco.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Jay Sales and Lewis Dot, the Coastal Collective, and they got to do some great things. But he performed with a live band, opening up for Lupe, and I was like, yo, like this is where I want to take it. Like I know this is the sound, so. We constructed the band at the time. Shout out my bro Gray Oaks. Got me connected with, one of my first bandmates, Keith. And then he got me connected with Jack, who got me connected with Will. And from then, that's how the story's been.
Yeah, I love seeing live band, perform, especially when it's mixed with rap music.
Oh, yeah.
It just adds something more. Like, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's special. It really is special. And, like I said, I still jump on both sides. Obviously, we're on the time, like this is hip hop's 50th, year anniversary. And so much of the core of hip hop is always going to come down to, the DJ culture, the, culture of having it in a confined space, a room, you have your MC, you got your DJ. You got the crowd interaction and those things. So from the core of it, like being a hip hop fan, that's always going to hold a special place. I love seeing how it's evolved though, and how everyone can take their niche though. And I just say, however you're going to do it, I've seen every aspect of it done really well and every aspect done poorly. I've seen some people be in front of a live band and it just sound like, people hitting trash cans and just making sounds, and I've seen people that just have a 2-track, give it to the DJ and they put on almost like an whole orchestral style of performance. You feel like it's like this is so much more than just someone pressing play, on a computer or so. It has so much more depth to it.
So when did you start making music?
First started dabbling in music semi-seriously in 2015. Growing up, I had such a deep affinity for music, though. Like, being in D.C., I remember in middle school when I first really wanted to start doing music. My homeboy, Los, Jared Alexander, and then Jay Shake, they had started this, like, hip-hop group in, like, 8th grade. And this is when MySpace was popping. So they were able to put their music they was making in the studio on their MySpace page. And they had the middle school was going crazy. It was like, yo, like, they passing mixtapes out. I'm like, this is it right here. This is what I want to do. I was not confident in myself enough at the time, though, to like go into a booth and say anything original, authentic, not trying to sound like somebody else. But my 9th grade year of high school, when I met my best friend Ty, shout out Ty Tom. I met Dre the following year, shout out Dre Waves, all in high school. And, I remember all of us just chopping it up back then and being like, yo, we could do this. And it wasn't until we were talking about it a little bit beforehand, like how now music is so much more in the hands of the artist to be able to control the process. It wasn't until I understood that more that I knew it was feasible. Because to me, I thought I needed to go book $40 an hour studio time. I don't know how to mix this. I don't know how any of this really works. And, we're able to break down and debunk the myths and like really just get to the core aspect of like how to grow the music. So 2015 we started. I told my mom I wouldn't really push music, until I graduated though, college. She thought I was gonna drop out. I was like, Mom, I have no motion. Like, why? Like, I'm not about to drop out. Shout out JID. That man took a leap of faith leaving Hampton like that. I commend the bro. Dropped out, and hey, worked out for him. That I ain't got the heart. So
what is your song creation process usually like?
Yeah, great question. Typically I will kind of go in. It depends if I'm working on like a one-off song or I'm just like feeling creative and want to kind of get, some expression out. It might be a mood. So I might find, I'm in a certain mood or wanting to write in a certain mood. So I'll go and kind of find like, either create a beat with the homies or like go through beat packs that producers have sent me. And, typically I love, if you're a producer, there's nothing better you can do than put the BPM in the name of the beat, put the BPM, the key, all in the name of the beat when you send it. So that way, like, for me, I know there's certain, like, chords or, like, keys that a song can be in that are going to induce a certain mood. So I can just, like, look through and find, like, all right, what are all the songs that are going to be in C minor? What are all the songs that are going to be in, like, F sharp or F major? Knowing that that's going to lead to a certain style. And then BPM as well, like, that's going to control the pace, the cadence. So typically, find the beat, find something that like feels like I can write to it. When I first started, my process was terrible. I wrote out every song with no beat, and I had like just all these verses in like a notepad.
And you don't know what
and
beat
I
to go to.
I was just on YouTube, like me and my brother was just like,
all
right, what can I spit this to? What sounds good? And it was like, we made it shake. And some people do that, and it's great. Like, if you're a seasoned artist, you could probably do that. Starting off is so much harder to like find your pockets, not knowing the beat or so. So yeah, I try to, find that, use that as the inspiration. And then, other times if I'm working on something more conceptually though, then I'll have like kind of a pre-existing topic and I'll try to figure out, like, create the beat or find the beat that like best matches like the idea. Other times it's really just, one of my favorite songs is called Too Late, and that I released within this past year, and it's just like a stream of consciousness though. And other times I'm really just going and really just looking to rap and just like get off like the ideas or like the things that I feel like are within my mind that I want to share with the world, and honestly like think through for myself on a deeper note.
So you're a Naruto fan?
Oh, yes. Shout out Naruto. Shout out the whole anime. I've been a deep Naruto fan for years too. No shade to no new fans. We welcome you into the community.
I'm a new fan.
Yeah.
Well, within the last like 4 years.
I'm happy to have you. I was on Naruto in like elementary school.
Yeah, you're one of those kids.
Listen, I've come so far. I'm so happy with who I am now, because at the time it was tough reading the manga comics in elementary school, in DC as well. Like, DC was unforgiving, yo. Like, this was nothing to be trifled with, like it was very clear who the cool kids were and who the kids weren't cool were. And I was not one of the cool kids, but it's all right. I was athletic, so I got a pass. So yeah, Naruto for years, anime, just, I love it. I love great stories. I love writing, great storytelling, whether it's a movie. I think anime is able to tell some of the most interesting, intriguing stories. So I love the writing aspect of that. Like, yeah.
That's the thing about anime. I feel like people think it's very like childlike or whatever, but like there's some incredible stories. They'll make you cry. They'll make you
really
think.
Sit through.
Like, and you don't need like. Also, I think a thing with cartoons that I like is you don't need a physical person acting out, so they can get it exactly how they want.
There's just limitations within what we can capture within a story, within like the real world. Obviously CGI has been progressing. We're able to do so much more with that. But even still, everybody remembers the Avatar Last Airbender adaptation, how that joint just fly.
Yeah, I didn't even watch that one.
Yeah, like it's, some things just like, it's cool to be able to have a story and free yourself from the limitations of like the space in the world that, we are comprised of. And it's some incredible story. Attack on Titan. It's about a story.
I'm so excited for the final parts.
Talking about a story.
That's a story.
That right there is, the complexity of what they're talking about. I'm putting that writing up there with Breaking Bad. Like, it is on par with some of the best writing I have seen. Come up, nothing wasted, no wasted lines, moments. Just like
Have you seen or read Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood?
Oh, yeah. All right, Eric Aldrich. Yeah, that's the bro. I've
I
seen bits and
think that
pieces,
one's
so I need to go back and
incredible.
rewatch.
You got to watch the whole
Yeah.
thing of Brotherhood.
Exactly,
Like,
yeah.
It comes together, I think, even better than Attack on Titan because I've read to the end of Attack on Titan.
I've read to the end of it as well.
Yeah. I love Attack on Titan. I think
Yeah.
that's it came very close to matching like how great FMA was, but I
Yeah.
still think FMA beats
I've got to
it.
get on. I've got to get on FMA. I think I was what hit me. I was watching FMA with someone I was talking to at the time, and then we stopped talking, and it was like hard to like
Go back to
So I was
it.
like, I was like by myself, like this don't feel the same. Like
Yeah.
I want to watch this without her. So I like took time off, but I think it's
Yeah.
healthy enough now where it's like I'm detached from
time
that.
now, yeah.
I need to dive back in.
So I have a weird take for Naruto.
Here we go.
Let me know what you think.
Yes.
I think it is related to space and aliens.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
okay.
Go ahead. Yeah. Keep going. Keep going.
Like, have you watched to the end, and have you seen some of Boruto?
Yes. I'm very.
Dude, those are space creatures coming out.
Yeah.
Them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Naruto definitely. I was going to say, I ain't want to spoil nothing. If you are watching Naruto right now, any of my friends will stop, they skip forward, I don't know, the couple of 30, 45 seconds to what I'm about to say, because I don't want to spoil this. But yeah, they, once they got through the whole God tree situation and the Otsutsukis and it's otherworld, because they were saying
they have different powers.
yeah. Oh, yeah. They're able to, the stuff they're able to do now. It's like, and I get it to an extent. Part of the Naruto community is like, it's a cop out to like bring that into the world because you just power scaled the world like to like being this, and now you're having to restructure. But bro is trying to extend the story and be able to keep talking and share more. I'm so deep in the Naruto fandom though. I'm praying, yo, that we get, instead of like Boruto, next generations, that we get a previous generations with Minato. That's where like
that would be so good. I never even thought about that.
that's where like the community. I'm deep into like the lore on like YouTube and everything, and following like updates. They just did the Naruto Top competition, and they were asking to vote their favorite character, or if you could get. They just came out with they call it a not a one take or so, but essentially a short story. They came out. It's like a couple volumes put together or so, or it's not enough for a volume, but it's also like more than a chapter. But they just came out with a new story of Minato that tells more of his backstory of how he created the Rasengan. And I'm hoping they take that. They're going to animate it, and I'm hoping they use that as like a testing ground to see if they want to expand and like really dive into like the previous generations of Naruto and like show that.
Yeah, I would love that. I also saw the writer. There was a manga, I think like a year or two ago, that was like a short story manga, but it was about it was kind of the main character was kind of like Naruto or Boruto, but it was like more spacey actually.
Yeah.
So that's why it's definitely I think related to the space stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, like there's just so many like twists and turns. So like every character has a backstory.
Yeah,
It's incredible.
That's what I mean. Like the writing, and like I'm rewatching it right now with my roommate, and it's one of my first like full rewatches through. I've like watched everything within like periods or times or pieces, but like really sitting down and like watching the beginning and seeing how much stuff they're hinting, alluding, like foreshadowing. And sometimes they do miss. It's like certain things that like they say, and I'm just like watching like that's cap. Like that's not where this goes. But yeah, it's great. It's great.
It's crazy the foreshadowing in Attack on Titan.
Oh,
have you like seen some of
every
that?
single
Yes.
time? I think I rewatched. I got into Attack on Titan in 2018 or 2019. Got into Attack on Titan in 2019. I was a little bit late, but I watched it. Like I binged. I think they were through 3 seasons at that point. I binged 3 seasons in like a weekend or something. And I was like, I looked at my roommate Ryan. I said, bro, you gotta watch this. So then during the week, me and my homeboy Ryan, I rewatched the whole 3 seasons with him, and was like, this is crazy. Then my homeboy Ty came down and visited from DC, and the whole weekend, I remember he called out let me not say this on. He stayed an extra day. He ain't have to work. bro, like we sat there and rewatched Attack on Titan for a third. I watched it for a third time within 2 weeks, 3 seasons, because it was that incredible and good. And then the 4th season comes out, and you're like, oh my! Like every season is just so groundbreaking of what you think you know compared to what is actually like being expressed.
Yeah, there's just so many good scenes, like the one when Ryder originally tells him,
he's like, oh,
by the way, like
it's like, dude, the audio kind of drowned out. Like
he's like, I'm the armor titan.
Yeah, it's like I'm the. He's like, what?
Like, what?
You're like, wait a minute, he just say what we think he just said? Like
he's like, yeah, I'm the armor titan. He's the whatever, the big
colossal.
one. Yeah, the colossal.
That whole sequence is still one of my favorite moments.
It's crazy because that's like the first time you see Reiner start to go crazy too. Because then you're like, oh wait, Reiner's just
like,
fucking.
Bro,
Reiner's crazy.
Bro is like, but it's real. Like he has like a whole almost split personality type that he's formed to survive. You know, in a foreign landscape and. It's tough. They sent him over there as kids, man. Reiner has one of my funniest favorite moments. Attack on Titan is not like, it has funny moments, but not a lot. You know, It's very serious. But it was like moments before that, a couple episodes before that, they were getting like Reiner and like them were getting attacked in the tower. It was right before Ymir like transformed into her Titan or whatever, and Reiner like was fighting off a Titan and got like bit or something, and then Krista started. Or his story, whatever. Krista started wrapping his arm up. He's just looking at her and he's like, marry me. Like he just like mid-scene, mid everything going on. Like it's just like fawning for this girl. Just like, God. Like I was like, bro, get it together. You in the middle of like a detrimental war-like situation right now. Yeah,
it's crazy. So you're a part of an independent record label?
Yes. God Vision, founded by Ty Tom, comprised of Ty, myself, and then Dre Waves. I mentioned them earlier. We all went to high school together, and independent record label out of DC.
Awesome. So you all met through high school, or a lot of you guys?
Yeah, met through high school. We were all of us athletes. I think my high school, like people go to my high school. I tell people this all the time. You either going to my high school because you're trying to play collegiate athletics, or you trying to go Ivy League. Like, I think over 60% end up within one of those two categories, insanely enough, which is great. So, Ty was playing basketball. I was running track. Dre was playing football. But yeah, we all met in high school, but we were really big into poetry at the time. Like we said, we didn't have the resources or the knowledge to like get into music, thankfully, because at high school, our inspirations, we would have been saying some nut stuff like Future popping off at the time, Pro Era, Flatbush Zombies, Underachievers. You had so many like great collectives that we would have been trying to, the whole ASAP mob.
Yes.
What the blog rap era was incredible and great. But yeah, we always talked about it. And then, going into kind of the business side of things, like I studied business in college. Ty's always been business minded, Dre as well. All of us are like very business oriented people. We were like, okay, like let's find a way to, really be able to try to make this work for us. And it's, it's a growing, we're learning more about how we're really wanting to position, Attack. I think, and this is what we're learning, like every label kind of has like a specialty in certain ways. Like certain labels are mainly on the distribution side for an artist. Certain labels are, more on the management side, kind of manage the day-to-day for an artist. Other labels are, managing the tour aspect. Like we're still trying to understand like our strong suits trajectory, kind of build our foundation of within ourselves as a label. If we do want to collaborate with other independent artists, what can we really like, what are going to be the things we have so much to offer, so much knowledge. What would be the things we want to really have as our expertise and like, give people the game to and give them the keys and let them understand like this is how these things work.
So do you have any music plans for the rest of the year?
Yes. So should I announce this here on the pod? Yeah. All right. Because then I'm gonna be able to clip this and then come back to it when it's needed as well. So, I'm getting ready for like my album's rollout. We're finishing up the mixing and mastering. Shout out my boy, Master of Sounds, Ethos Ellis. Helping with all the music things there. Shout out my brother Mitch. Wouldn't be doing this music without him either. But so I have kind of like I don't know if I can give you the marketing strategy yet. Because honestly, I'm still in the process of this, and I would hate for someone to hear the way I really want to go, because I think it could be like groundbreaking. I'll tell you offline. You give me your opinion about it. But we're about to get ready to roll out the album. We got a great strategy. Just needing to, you know, kind of loosen up or figure out the cover arts and some visual pieces and things. But I think it's some of my most dynamic music, which is interesting because most of it was recorded like 3 years ago. You know, so it's like stuff I've been sitting on for a while, and I've released things that I've recorded after that before this. You know, but this is something that it feels like my baby, or so. Like I've been really waiting for the right time. Ton of great features, ton of great like memories putting this together, and I really think it's gonna be something special.
Is there a certain kind of sound that's different than your regular sound, or
not necessarily different, but more evolved, more like put together? So most of my albums, kind of like, you know, most of them at least, some of them don't, but a good bit of them, especially the ones I've put out independently, kind of toy around with the SOS idea. So the first album I ever, you know, really put out after my first mixtape, first real album, was called SOS. Then I did Shadows Over Sunrise. And then I did my 2 installments of my Symptoms of Slavery, Symptoms of Slavery 1, Symptoms of Slavery 2, all these things, SOS. And then I followed up Shadows Over, or Silhouettes Over Sunsets was the first like kind of like part of this series that I started for this album. I knew I wanted to do like a little trilogy, you know, type piece or so. Not the Weekend trilogy, just like a three-part piece for it. So Silhouettes Over Sunsets, and then the follow-up for that was my Midnight album that I came out with a couple years back, and this is going to be the last installment called Shadows Over Sunrise. So the whole, you know, kind of somewhat the concept for it is trying to be able to sonically capture, you know, the idea and the feeling of like watching your shadow dissipate as the sun rises, you know, and the things that you see of yourself begin to slowly fade. So
it's really deep.
I
appreciate that.
Yeah, I like
thought
really, I have some concepts and things, but more importantly than the concept is the music. You have a great concept with terrible music, and you know, like, so even if people never get that concept, the music, I want the music to be able to stand on itself, people to hear it and just be like, this is great music. And then when they do get the concept, or if it ever clicks, it's like, whoa. Those are my favorite types of projects, where it's like, oh my gosh, I remember listening to Food and Liquor by Lupe, and I was just like, this music's great. And then like you start to understand better, like from like his Food and Liquor, or the cool, you know, what it's really kind of like the idioms or like the layers of what's really being talked about. You know, J. Cole's For Your Eyes Only, you know, all that stuff. All the great concept albums and things. So
yeah, I do love that with albums. Sometimes, you know, I'll just be listening, you know, just for the song, like the sound and the vibe. You know, I won't be paying that much attention. I'll, you know, love a certain album, and then I'll go back and I realize, like, I start hearing lyrics and, you know, little hidden things.
Yep.
And it adds so much more to it.
Yeah, no, completely.
Is there anything else that you want people to know about you?
Anything I want people to know about me? I mean, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my family, my friends, God. Just very thankful to be able to, you know, have a platform like this to, you know, just kind of talk about what we've been able to talk about today. You know, for myself, I'm a very humble person. I'm blessed to be able to do music in the way that I am. You know, I've accomplished so much more than I ever thought I would, which I'm happy about, but still driven of wanting to see how far I can take it with things. Yeah, just very thankful. I say, just for me personally, if you ever see me out or so, if you're ever in Wilmington, or, you know, we doing shows here in Carolina, I'm planning a tour for my homeboy Dre. So we're going to be going up the East Coast, or going down the East Coast coming up this fall and winter, starting up in Boston and finishing actually in Orlando in Florida. So if you can make it out to a show there, you know, definitely come support the independent artists, support, you know, the lovely people like Grace, like you're doing right now, that are helping to cover and give us a platform. And yeah, I'm just thankful for any of you that have tuned in.
Thank you for, you know, driving out here from Wilmington and, you know, letting me interview you. I had a great time, and, you know, getting to know you more and everything.
Yeah,
talking about Naruto.
I know. I was excited. Part of me, I was like, I didn't want to like try to get everything that we were going to talk about beforehand, because I wanted it to be just natural, which I'm glad. It just felt so natural, organic conversation. So thank you for, you know, for following up and giving me this time to come in and give my piece on all the things we were able to talk about.
Thank you. Anybody that's watching, thank you as well. Like, subscribe, go check out his music. Do you want to share your Instagram?
Yep, you can find me on socials, MoeSOS DC. So Instagram, TikTok. You know, I gotta do a better job keeping up with my socials. I've been detaching myself, you know, like us artists like to do, but at this level of my independence, like I don't have the capacity to detach myself fully and have someone keep my Instagram going. So sorry if I haven't got back to you on DMs or something there, especially on TikTok. I'm about to lock back in though. The album's coming. This season's about to be crazy.
Thank you for watching, and also I apologize for not getting back to people on my DMs. I'm so bad at that.
There it is. There it is.
And yeah, thank you. Goodbye.
That they feed you, can't fear him if he bleed too. Live my life like see-through, disappearing through they sleep, like they checked into the Sisu Hotel. I got the band beside me just to help me weave through those spells. Got the fan behind me, Lord knows that I need him. Rest in peace to Chris, Evan, when you see him, hope you greet him. Been shaking off the greed, been waking up to people who only come to me with needs. Been saving up a little, thought back